Every season across European football, there's a couple of teams that really do punch above their weight and make a really stark improvement on where they finished last season to what they actually perform and do this current season. And there's a few really strong candidates across Europe for who that could be. But one of the top ones on my list has been Napoli. Since Antonio Conte came back to Serie A, he made no bones about it. He was not mincing his words. He said on his appointment, I only ask for one guarantee, and that is that I decide who will leave the club. And Napoli have a lot of guys leaving the club very quickly, but they've wasted no time at all in actually bringing players into the club. The biggest signing they've made so far this summer, of course, as you know, is Romelu Lukaku, and a transfer that gives me massive deja vu on the Diego Costa transfer to Chelsea when Antonio Conte was appointed, and we know how that season went. In the video today, we're going to look at the refurbished, the remodeled Antonio Conte's Napoli ahead of the 24-25 Serie A season, where although Lukaku is the one that's grabbing all the headlines in terms of transfer, Antonio Conte has already done some 10 out of 10 business for me and really fixing some massive problems that Napoli have had since winning the Scudetto and since losing a lot of their key assets like Koulibaly and Kim Min-jae. At any point in the video, if you do laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this as we cover all the transfers happening across European and world football throughout the summer transfer window as we get set for a massive 24-25 season where we'll be doing breakdowns and analysis of matches and following a lot of different interesting teams and their journey in the coming season. And yeah, let's just get stuck straight into it. Now, like I mentioned in the intro, Napoli are going to have an obscene amount of outgoing transfers. There's a lot of ones of players that you're maybe not too familiar with, like Jesper Lindstrom or Ostergaard or Gaetano. There's lots. Napoli have a really busy squad full of players that they can shift on quite easily for somewhat nominal transfer fees. But with the Lukaku incoming, it does point to a big name leaving. Of course, I'm talking about Victor Osimhen. Now, he's got a few different offers on the table. Maybe he goes to Chelsea, maybe he goes to Paris, maybe he goes to Saudi Arabia, but it does feel like he is walking out of the door at Naples, and Lukaku is his ready-made replacement. And Lukaku has, you know, a real kind of mixed reception across world football for how good he is and how effective he can be. But one thing we've definitely seen from Romelu Lukaku is he does suit Serie A football, and the presence and the sort of profile of a striker that he is fits like a glove into an Antonio Conte system. Now, I think ideally it would be Victor Osimhen leading the lineup here in attack for Napoli. He's younger, he's fitter, he's better. The fans already love him. He's already proven at Napoli in the Scudetto, but he is he's outward bound. And I think honestly, in terms of profile, there's not too many better candidates to replace a Victor Osimhen than a Romelu Lukaku. But what I do think this is going to signal is Antonio Conte tactical change here. Napoli have been playing 4-3-3 for the last couple of years, and since they lost their manager, the other managers that they've had come in, you know, it's been like try and keep playing the same way, and it's not really worked out. But I do feel that there will be a total sea change into it being total Conte football. And I do think that Kvaratskhelia, I think he'll be here to stay at Napoli this year. I don't think he will be leaving, and I think that is exactly who Antonio Conte was talking about when he says that he gets the final say on who leaves. By all accounts, he's got an improved contract on the table, ready to be signed, and if Cravadonna does sign on for another season under Antonio Conte at Napoli, with them not having European football this year, this attack line, as it stands now, could be good enough to regain the Scudetto for them. The season they won the league, of course, they didn't have any European football that year. If they didn't have much to contend with. I don't remember any significant runs in Europe when they were really on form, they were really on fire. Still a wee bit of an unknown if there's going to be any more additions in here in terms of backup to Lukaku, but between the likes of Raspadori, Simeone, and Gonga, Politano, they're definitely well fitted here. But right off the back of this Lukaku rumour, I'm seeing rumours that Antonio Conte has got his sights set on pulling out of Tottenham Hotspur Dejan Kulusevski. And I really do think that Kulusevski coming into this team, into this front three, totally changes the level of it and brings it back to being a firm Champions League front three, because not just of it being name recognition and all the rest of it versus Politano, but the way Kulusevski plays, he drops into these spaces here. He's very strong and robust. He loves to drive with the ball, and he loves having players in support of him to help him actually go and create goals and assists and that kind of thing. So I think Kulusevski would be apex to come into this front three and really top Napoli off. And really beyond that, like, Napoli can't ask for too much more firepower for this season. if they are to hold a Cravadonna. But where they've been doing the most interesting and the most significant business for me already in this window is in defence, because like I mentioned in the intro, Kim Min-jae left, Koulibaly left, and the defence has been really lacklustre. It's not been as solid as what it once was. There's been a few goalkeeper changes, and maybe you can point to that somewhat, but the additions already of Buongiorno, who's had a very good season or two at Torino, becoming a full established Italy international, as well as Rafa Marin, who I was super impressed with in La Liga this year. He was on loan from Real Madrid at Alaves, who got relegated, I'm pretty sure, in the end. But he looked very, very capable, very confident, and looking, at being an all-action defender in a team that is bad and is getting relegated and is not on the front foot, doesn't have possession. He had a real baptism of fire last year, and I think coming into a back three setup alongside Romani and Buongiorno being the castle in the middle, the kind of sweeper around it, I think this is, Rafa Marin, I think this time next year, he's going to be one of these guys that every big team in European football is going to try and take out of Napoli. I really do feel that he's going to show all the qualities that all the big teams are excited by, especially with left-sided defenders, but just with modern young defenders anyway. Being strong in the duel, being composed on the ball, being able to pick out a pass, as well as, if the opportunity presents itself, if they are dominating possession, he has that ability to maybe drive into an awkward position and commit some opposition teammates. And I do think from what we've seen from Antonio Conte, he will play his style of football, and we are going to have bombastic wide players as fullbacks. Oliveira was fantastic last year, so as was Di Lorenzo. Both these guys aren't without injury, but we've seen Spinazzola, who's also got a bit of an injury record, come in to complement Mario Rui, and Mazzocchi, who was a January signing, I'm pretty sure. But with them not having any European commitments or anything like that, Antonio Conte and this Napoli team can roll weekend to weekend, playing against whoever in Serie A and go absolute full strength. They don't need to worry about the midweek piling up and whatever else. I do think there's a wee bit more room in here for some depth and some security in midfield, because this is literally all they have in midfield at the moment is Zambo Anguissa, Lobotka and Kajust, with Gaetano, Lindstrom. They should be leaving. Demi's already left and one or two others. So I wouldn't be surprised if they went and got another project or two into midfield here, or maybe somebody a bit more dynamic, a bit more of a centre mid, but a guy that's maybe a wee bit more attacking or something like that, just to kind of balance the scales and give them cover for Zambo Anguissa if he kind of drops off the boil or whatever. And obviously we've seen the rise of Lobotka in the Euros. I think he'll be raring to go as the metronome, as the key playmaker in midfield, getting the ball from defence and feeding it into attack. But again, like I said already, we know what you're going to get with Conte. You know what you're going to get with Serie A teams. And this will be like a 7-man defence, and it's going to be looked to counter-attack into Lukaku, which is what Lukaku's main strength was at Inter Milan. He just played up front with Lautaro, Inter defended with everyone else, and then the fullbacks would support, and it's just try and counter-attack and get it to those two. And I don't think this will be terribly different, but I do think that there might be a 3 in attack here, which just gives Lukaku the ability to receive the ball from two sides of the pitch, and he can really occupy defences a little bit better rather than having to focus on one side of the ball. And then maybe sometimes at Inter he would be tasked with driving the ball up the pitch and then finding Lautaro Martinez. I think they're going to try and avoid that, keep him as the arrowhead, and having Kulusevski, Politano, whoever on the right with Cravadonna on the left. And I really do think that, the sky is the limit for Napoli this year. If they can keep their best 11 fit, they can just roll weekend to weekend. There is absolutely no reason we couldn't see them break back into the top 3 in Italy, never mind the top 5. And, if everything did fall into place and some other teams got some big European runs, maybe they could think about winning the Scudetto again. Antonio Conte has won the league already in Italy with a very good Juventus team playing not too dissimilar a system. And of course, like we've mentioned and referenced already, winning the league with Chelsea when they didn't have European football, with a very similar route to goal, as it were, in terms of the players that he's brought in to complement the existing squad. The Lukaku Diego Costa parallels, I think, are absolutely massive. There's maybe not an N'Golo Kante move in just yet, and maybe that's something we're still TBC here. But I do think that, I can't say it enough. Napoli are going to have a really good season. I think the Lukaku transfer is absolutely massive, but it's just as, even though it's the headline one, it's not any more important or any more significant for me than the signings of Buongiorno and Rafa Marin, because it's a complete remodel in the defence, which is going to give the team that solidarity to build out from the back and then play on the wings on the counter to the arrowhead piece that they've brought in, Romelu Lukaku. I hope you've enjoyed this one, guys. On screen there now is some other stuff that I've made that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. Don't forget to jump into the comment section on this one and let me know what you think of Napoli. Are they actually, Serie A capable again, or are they still missing one or two pieces? I'll be really excited to catch the comment section on this. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, stay out of trouble, and I'll catch you on the next one.